Sorry about that. And I want to be able to help you to gain some clarity and give you some steps to find that clarity right now. Because I think without that clarity, you're not going to be able to create your to-do list. You're not going to be able to develop a daily plan without understanding where you're going next. And so I want to help you do that during this phase, especially as everything is starting to shift. We don't know how long this quarantine is going to happen for, and everything. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. And I actually just posted on my social media, like literally half an hour ago, like we feel like right now we're in a moment of uncertainty, but even prior to everything happening in the pandemic, there never is certainty in anything, and I think that this moment in our history is a realization that we have, we think we have greater control than we do. And so I want to help you to realize, like, doesn't matter what happens in the world, what happens in our life, whether sickness comes over us or whether death comes over us, whether the economy crashes. Like, if you have the focus that you are on track with a vision for your life, a purpose, none of that stuff really matters. And I want you to realize, like, those things, having that purpose helps you to find hope, to stay focused when everything is around us is trying to distract us, and it's going to help us to continue our momentum. And I think a lot of people have been impacted in their momentum because they got sidetracked. They got distracted from their purpose. And so maybe your purpose is going to stay the same, but if it has shifted, I want to help you to kind of gain some clarity there. So I wanted to walk you guys through a couple things that I feel will help you to, first off, gain some clarity, and second, follow that with discipline. So for those of you that don't know, so a little bit of my background, because I know some of you are brand new to following me, or you've kind of just joined me through prior webinars. So my story kind of started a few years ago, or about 6 years ago, when I went through postpartum depression with my second child and feeling completely lost. I had a great career in nursing, and I loved serving. Like, I always knew in my life I was going to be helping people. But I didn't realize how unhappy I was with how my life was turning out when it comes to my routines. Like, I felt overwhelmed constantly, and I felt like I couldn't manage my schedule. I felt like I was always chasing the next thing. And because I always felt like there was not enough, I didn't feel enough. I didn't feel worthy enough. And so depression started to set into my life. Anxiety started to set into my life. And so in the summer of 2014, I decided to make a bold decision to do something for myself, because up to that point, I was serving everyone: my spouse, my kids, my job, my boss, my parents. And so up to that point, I realized, like, man, I need to do something for me that is something I can call mine. And that for me was my fitness and my health. And that's when I decided to start taking care of myself again. I was 50 pounds overweight, and I was struggling in getting a routine started again because I had a C-section, and I was terrified to do work, weightlifting and abdominal exercises. But I found a program that I was able to do from home that gave me flexibility, but also allowed me to be able to have the times that I can work out, the flexibility in time. And so I started to work out from home. I started to develop a routine that was focused on me. And I started to do that with my little baby and his little bouncy, my 2.5-year-old running around. And with time, I started to find myself again. And so a lot of times I talk to people about the foundation of health and wellness as like the stepping stone to gaining clarity in your life. Now, wherever you are right now, I'm not saying you have to start a health routine right off the bat, but I do suggest that, our mind follows our body. And so when we move our body, there is biology, there's physiology there when it comes to how we take care of ourselves, and how it transmits into our brain, the chemical imbalances, the hormones. So all those things combined, I was able to get myself out of depression. I was able to take control of my anxiety. I still have anxiety till this day, but it's managed a lot better than it was years ago. And also in the military. So being in the military has also taught me so many lessons when it comes to self-discipline. But even then, I again, because I didn't have direction, having self-discipline doesn't do much work if you don't have a direction. So I find people out there who have incredible work ethic, but are still super unhappy. And I always wonder, like, why are they so unhappy? They're such incredible workers. Like, they are such great performance reviews, and yet they're not happy. And what I found is that if you can have great discipline, but if you don't have a definitive direction, purpose that you're working towards, that's yours, that you have designed, that you have envisioned for yourself, then those things, it's not going to make a difference in your personal life. So that's why I wanted to talk about the vision and self-discipline and how they tie together. So to have that opportunity to be able to move forward, I want to talk about how leaders need to have that quality of self-discipline and also a vision. So I wanted to share the scripture, and I apologize for anybody who's not Christian on here. I do want to put forth, I am a Christian woman, and I lead a lot with spiritual teachings as well. And I do so because I believe there is power behind them. Whether you believe in a higher power or not, a lot of the readings that prior leaders have written in those books are incredible teachings. And so I wanted to share one of those that's in Proverbs 29:18. And it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And I don't know if any of you have heard that quote before, but I absolutely love it, because it reminds us that no matter who we are, we all need to have a vision for our personal life. And I've heard this many, many times before, where people say, well, I don't, I'm not very clear what I want in life, but I feel like I just need to wait it out and see where God leads me. And I've heard many Christians say this too. And I feel like that's not the right answer, because I believe that we need to have a definitive direction. And whether it shifts or not, that's not our prerogative. What we need to do is have the direction, like leaders do, right? And then as we're going towards that vision, things may shift. For example, this year, I'm sure many of us had a focus, had a goal this beginning of the year, and then things have shifted, and that's okay. It's not that your goal or your vision was wrong. It's just we need to adjust the sails. And so, but the important piece is the reason why, like, for example, myself, I had incredible goals this year, and I had to shift. I had incredible webinars and trainings and workshops I had to put on my schedule. Obviously, those things were taken away because of social distancing. And so, not that my goal changed, but the way I was going to achieve it shifted. And so the reason why I've been able to stay calm, focused, collected during this time is because I had a vision, and that hasn't changed. So for those people that always tell me, like, I'm stressed out, I'm scared, I'm overwhelmed. Well, I need to ask you, like, do you have a plan? And if you don't, then let's talk about how to create that in your life right now. So key of life is having a vision. And really, vision is the sauce of discipline. Without the vision, you can't have the discipline. Without the discipline, you cannot have the vision, right? It is the root of leadership. And one of the things that I want to be able to teach women to do is to become greater leaders. And in order for you to do that, you got to have those two things in place. So I wanted to share how you guys can do that. So I wanted to give you guys some examples of incredible leaders who had vision. But here's the thing about vision, okay? I shared this week that one of my goals is to help you simplify your life. I want us to understand that life is not complicated. there's not a lot to life. There really is. It's simple, but we overcomplicate it with a million things we need to do or we think that are necessary in our life. And I want you to think about for the last like 11, 12 months, if you look back in the last year, what are some of the things that you've been doing on your schedule, on your planner that probably were unnecessary? I want you to think about that for a second, because I had to think about that myself during quarantine and ask myself, like, wow, I've been able to still do a lot of things for my business, yet I was doing all these unnecessary things in the last year that I thought I needed to do in order to produce, to replicate, to duplicate. And so, and the same thing with our health, with our relationships, with our family, our marriage. You know, a lot of times we think that we need to do more, where in fact we have to kind of step back and do a little less. So I wanted to give you an example. Again, these are incredible leaders in history. And so some of you may have heard of some of them, maybe you haven't. So let's talk about Moses, Abraham. These are biblical leaders, but they give a perfect example. Even and I'm going to mention one that's non-religious, Abraham Lincoln, right? These are leaders that had a vision. They had one purpose, right? Moses, his purpose was to get the Israelites across the river and help them to freedom. That was his purpose, right? Abraham Lincoln, what was his one purpose? He had one purpose, right? It was to free the slaves. There was a little bit more there in there, but that was his core purpose and vision for his life, right? We all have one purpose, one design. And so if we were to step back and be able to figure that out, imagine how much simpler our life would be. It would be easier to say no to partying on the weekends with your friends when it has nothing to do with your vision for you to get your PhD, or your vision for you is to bring people to their healthiest version of themselves. And so everything that you do is designed around that purpose. So I go to fitness conferences. I read books on fitness. I do hobbies that have to do with fitness. So my life is revolved around that one purpose, right? So I want you guys to think about that, because I'm going to give you some strategies on how to get to that point. Because I know a lot of us, we're running around aimlessly, not understanding that we do have something special and unique and a talent and a gift that only we have, and we're not utilizing it to its best capacity because we're stretching ourselves thin. And so rather than being the expert in this one area, we're trying to be everything for everyone. And so here we are, burnt out, overwhelmed, exhausted all the time, trying to figure out when am I going to get a break? When the answer is right under your nose. Are all those things truly necessary in your life right now? So I want to give you guys a story of Martha and Mary. And Martha and Mary is an incredible example of two women, again in the scriptures. And you guys can go refer to these if you want to. Just Google Martha and Mary, and you go find where the scriptures are in the book. But I wanted to share this story because I think it's absolutely unique and a perfect example where we are in this world right now. So Martha is an example of the world, of the majority of the people in the world. Martha is the busybody. She is the one that's moving, constantly doing something. She has to be busy. Mary, on the other hand, has one purpose, one vision. So Martha is like most of us. We live on assumptions. We believe that we need to be doing all these things. So Jesus was coming to visit Martha and Mary. Martha assumed that Jesus was hungry. So she got working to cooking some lunch, whatever time frame that he came to their house. And Jesus said to her, Martha, I'm not hungry. I came here to teach. But yet, we think we know what God wants us to do. And so constantly we're leading our life with what we think he wants us to do, whether you believe in that higher power or some external force that you feel you're being influenced by. You think you know what you that influence wants for you. And so, but we're leading with our personal needs and what we want and what we think we want. And then we get upset when nobody else is leading, going along with it. So Martha got really angry with Mary, and she actually told Jesus, like, why isn't Mary helping me clean the dishes and get cooking? Jesus was like, no, that's not the purpose right now. Right now is the time to slow down, sit down and listen. How many of you guys feel like that? Like sometimes we're constantly on the go and we're not taking the time to listen. So this past week I wanted to practice this, and I thought to myself, like, how can I, because again, I have been a Martha. When I share these stories, I can relate to most of these because I have fallen into the trap and I've had to learn and teach myself on how to overcome these trends, right? We all fall into these trends. And so I have been Martha. I literally would get angry because I was doing the dishes and I had to do this and this and that. I had to go to these networking events. I needed to go and teach this. I needed to volunteer at church for all these activities. And so and then my husband would come home and I would be super exhausted, super cranky, and I would lash out on him, right? And I thought that something was wrong with me, when in fact it wasn't me who was wrong. It was my focus, my where my attention was going. And so I think this is a perfect example of Jesus says this to Martha, Martha, you are so busy about many things. Why? Why are we trying to be everything for everyone? Is it pride? Is it stubbornness? Is it trying to keep up with the Jonases, Joneses? I can never pronounce that name. Why are we trying to keep up with the others when that's not our purpose? So I want you to go back to what has been necessary in your life and what hasn't been, because that's going to allow you to see where the loopholes are, where you need to shift. So this is kind of where I want to talk about distractions in our life, because distraction is one of our greatest enemy. And it's easy for us to feel like I need to be doing more. I need to compete. I need to, I need to look like her. I need to do what that person is doing, because we think we're not enough. But that happens because we don't have a definitive destination. Vision honestly simplifies your life. So I wanted to talk about, when you become a leader, when you find the thing that you need to master, everything will be motivated by that vision or thing that you have to master. So that's kind of why I mentioned earlier, if you have that one purpose of getting everybody fit, right? Everything is revolved around health and wellness, right? For me, that's my foundation, health and wellness. So everything I do is revolved around that. I understand that's part of my purpose. And so I design my life so that it's related to that, right? So I do go to conferences with fitness instructors and trainers, and I do so much studying on nutrition and hormone imbalances and sleep and chemicals in the brain, and also mental health, because it's related to your wellness. Those are my passions, right? Most people, though, are stuck because they haven't defined those things. And here's the thing, here's the crazy thing, is that most of us, most of our society right now, our culture, and I know, and I want to speak to my culture, Hispanic culture, Latina culture, a lot of us are stuck in this poor man's mindset, that there isn't enough, there is lack, there is scarcity in the world. And we grow up in this culture, in this environment, believing that we have to struggle in order to succeed in life, that we have to work 2 to 3 jobs, that we have to do more and more and more. But the reason why that's the case is because people don't know who they are. They don't understand where they're going. And so that's why they're putting their hands in every pot and they're focusing on the success, on the money, rather than the vision, not realizing that if they focused on the vision and the purpose, the money comes. Think about that one. If we stopped focusing on the money and the success and the accolades and the promotions, what will come, if we focus on the vision, is the success. But most people are chasing the success first. In order for you to be successful, you have to become valuable. And the way that you become valuable is by becoming an expert in one thing only. And that's where we screw it up, where we feel like we need to be everything. And I fell into this trap where I felt like, okay, I do health and fitness. Now I'm going to become a life coach. Now I'm going to do this and that. And then if I do all this, then I'm going to become more known and blah, 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 right? I fell into that trap. And I felt like I was in a hamster wheel, just going in circles and getting nowhere, until I realized and asked myself, wait, Matt, what is the one thing I'm good at? Why don't I focus on that and get better at it? Become the master, the expert in that one area. So, what is your value? Why would people come to you? And what gift do you have that you need to develop? And how much do you think that's worth? And here's the thing that I struggled with for a while, is understanding my worth, my value. I felt like, and I'm giving the example of business, but this can apply to anybody's career, whatever career path you're on. If you're asking for a promotion, or you're trying to apply for a higher paying job, right? We go after what we believe we're worth. And so if you believe you're only worth $25 an hour, what do you think you're going to get more of? Just jobs that will pay you $25 an hour. But if you believe you're worth $50, $100 an hour, what are you going to search for? That's the mistake we make, is that we settle for the $10 an hour, the $15 an hour, because, well, that's all they'll pay me for. Where in fact, you are an expert in documentation and assessing, or creating plans for patients. And that you've seen other people get paid $50 an hour for that. But you're not asking for it because, again, you believe you're worth only 25. So you will get paid what you value yourself. And so if you want to be able to master your finances, your health, your relationships, you will only get what you believe you're valued. Think about that. For your relationships, you only get what you think you value. So if you only think your value comes with a man or a woman that you believe, well, you only deserve I don't know, 5 hours a week. And that's all you're going to get from your relationship. But if you believe, man, I have incredible value, a man or a woman should spend time with me, at least 20 hours a week with me. And I think that's crazy. I'm an introvert. I like my space. So I'm happy with 5. But that's my choice, not because I believe I'm valued less, but that's my choice. That's what I want, right? But that's the difference, is that you get what you believe your value. So I know my value is I deserve a man who will help me with the dishes, who will help me clean the house, who will change diapers, who will cry with me when I'm crying, who will laugh with me when I'm laughing. Like, that's my value. But there's women out there running around being abused physically or mentally because that's all they think they're worth. Think about that. So if you understand where you're headed, what your purpose is, your vision, your value moves up. You understand you have so much to give, and people are willing to invest in you, whether it be in time, whether it be in money, because you have that no one else has. So I want you to start shifting your mindset on that, because that is power at your fingertips. So how can you become good in one area? So let's talk about the developing your vision. So I don't want to keep you guys on for too much longer. So I wanted to share, I couldn't, for some reason, this is where I couldn't find the document that I was looking for. So I have 2 things I want to share with you. One is a recipe for success, which comes with what will your vision do for you? So because for some reason I can't, I'll email it to you guys. But right now I'm gonna open up the writing a vision document. But before I get to that, I want to talk about what will a vision do for you. So a vision, I just mentioned a couple things, like you will understand your value. You will understand where you're going. But here's a few other things that a vision does for you. Number 1, it will help you choose your future, where you are going. It will help you choose your friends, your influences. Friends can become closer than brothers and sisters. And so I don't want you to be limited by your family and those that are around you, because sometimes family can be our worst enemy. They can be the one that discourage us the most on us living out our purpose. So be careful that, if you have the right vision and you have developed that purpose, you will know who to surround yourself with. Vision will choose your library. What you put into your mind is determined by what your vision is. So if your vision is crap, you're going to be putting crap, like crappy magazines and tabloids, into your brain. Like, that's what you think you're valued. That's what you think your purpose is, to just be another Joe out there. But that's not you, right? So vision will choose your library. I shifted years ago. Once I started to work on myself, my house got filled with just books and books and books of personal development, financial success, leadership trainings, health and wellness, right? Fitness. That will choose your library. Vision will choose your use of time. So where you put your effort and your time is determined by your vision. Vision will choose your energy, where you put your energy. Vision will choose your movies. It will choose your priorities. It will choose your hobbies. Vision chooses your diet. So many people tell me, I can't eat healthy. I'm always eating like crap. Why? And I feel like it's not related to self-control, although some of it is there are some pieces of self-control, addiction, chemicals in the food that cause you to crave more of it. But I believe that the reason why so many people are careless about their food intake, careless about their activity, their physical activities, because they don't have a direction that they're going. And having a weight loss goal is not direction. Um, Having a weight loss goal is not having direction. That's not a purpose. You know, we're not designed to be 50 pounds lighter. And I think that's the biggest mistake. Like, and I direct women when we do our first, consultation call, and when it comes to like fitness goals, I always hear like the weight loss goal. And I say, great. Why does that matter? Why do you need to lose 50 pounds? Why do you need to lose 20 pounds? Because there has to be something greater than that. That's not enough to keep you motivated. That's not enough to help you wake up at 5 a.m. when you went to bed at midnight because your baby kept you up all night. That's not enough. So that's why you have to have a greater vision. It has to go deep. It has to go 7 layers deep, I call it. There has to be layers beyond just the surface, superficial. So, and that's huge. That's a huge difference between those that. And so that's why I feel like, once you're clear on your vision and your purpose, the diet follows. The exercise follows, and it does come naturally. Vision chooses how you invest your money. It chooses how you write your to-do list. It chooses your attitude in life. People all the time telling me, Nat, why are you always so positive? Although I have my bad days too, but I bounce back faster. And I don't stay in the darkness anymore like I used to when I used to get really depressed. It doesn't last as long. Why? Because I have a purpose, a vision that keeps me, it helps me wake up from that dark moment and gets me focused again. Now, remember, what are you working for? Why do you need to show up? Why do you need to get dressed? Why do you need to put on makeup? Because I need to go serve. That purpose is my driving force every day. Vision chooses your life. It tells you the life you're supposed to end up living. Your lifestyle. Again, back to what we mentioned earlier. Vision helps you choose what to plan, how to plan your living. And some people always, have told me like, oh, I just feel stuck. I haven't found work where I live. I feel like the people around me are negative. Well, then maybe you need to move. Maybe you need to move out of state. Maybe you need to go search across the US and go to where work is, where the friends are positive. When you have the vision and purpose, it directs you. And sometimes it directs you to move to places you never imagined, to do things you never imagined. And I'm gonna give you guys the example, like my husband worked as a police officer for 11 years. 11 years. And he was super excited for that career, but halfway through it, man, it's hard. Like you guys know, like law enforcement, especially in the last few years, has gotten hit hard. And so he was unhappy. He became unhappy in his job, and he just, having to be a detective, having to be on call all hours of the day, working night shifts, second shifts, all these rotating shifts. He just wasn't happy anymore. So he even though he didn't do this activity, but in his mind, he does these things, right? He had a vision for his life. He knew from years ago, I want to work a Monday through Friday job that's 9 to 5. I want to be able to be home with my family. I want to have the weekends off. I want to be able to control when I go on vacation. I don't want to be on call. So he set this standard for what he wanted. And because that was his direction, everything he did was revolved around that. And he was willing to lose his job. So he applied to state police, right? And he, in that process, was gonna get hired. And then his job was said, no, don't leave us. We'll get you into this new position that is like a day shift position, right? He was working nights, I think, at the time. I can't remember the chronology of his career, but at some point he was working nights. He wanted to get off nights, and he was working detectives, and he hated it, and he was going to leave his job. That's what it was. He was a detective, and he wanted to leave his job. That's when he applied to state police, and then finally his job was like, no, we'll put you in this position. So it was kind of like a 10 to 8 shift, Monday through Friday. He's like, all right, I like this, right? He was being led by his purpose, right? His vision. But that was a temporary position. So eventually they boot him out of there, and he was assigned as they call it a training. I forgot, there's so many acronyms, but he ended up being assigned to a federal job while he was a law enforcement, right? So he actually got to work with the federal department outside of his city for 3 years. So he actually had the opportunity. Again, he was led by his vision, right, to work the 9 to 5 job Monday through Friday. So this federal job was that, right? But it was temporary. And he knew that at some point they were going to pull him back out. And that's exactly what happened. But before that happened, he said he had this bold decision. He made a bold decision. He said, he told me, he's like, Natalie, I want to apply to this department, this federal job. And I said, I was scared because that job meant that we might have to move. And I don't know if I was ready to move, but he was ready to move. He's like, man, my vision and my purpose is going to take me wherever it's going to take me, but that's what I want to live. I am done with the night shifts and all these crazy shifts. And so finally I gave him permission, because I was like, you know what? I have to have faith too. My husband, I want him to be happy. If he's happy, I'm happy, right? That's part of my vision and my purpose. I want my family to be happy. So I said, yeah, go ahead and apply. And so a year before he was going to get pulled out of this department, he started his application process. And that was the hardest year of our life. I barely saw him because he was working so hard. He worked his day job, and then he would come home and work out because he needed to get physically fit for this job. And then while he was in that application process, he got promoted in his police department to sergeant, which he technically always wanted. And then at the point that he got promoted, it no longer was aligned with his vision and his purpose, because becoming a sergeant meant he would have to work night shifts again for at least 2 to 3 years. And that wasn't part of his vision anymore. It wasn't just about success for him. He had a vision. He had a purpose. He knew what it looked like. And so he took the promotion, but he was still in the process for getting hired for this federal job. And he was willing to lose that job, because here's the thing, is that with this federal job, he can go through the full academy. If he failed, he could get booted out and have no job. But he was willing to do that because he understood his vision and his purpose. And so he went through the whole process. He got hired. He left his police department to go live out this vision and this purpose. And through all that, he hustled so hard. I am so proud of him. He was gone for 4 months. I suffered a lot, but he had the vision and he had the purpose, and he was led by that. And that vision was what chose his plan, his life, his daily decisions. And so our lives were revolved around his for some time. And that's okay, because I understood that his greater vision and purpose was also aligned with mine. And so now he is in his dream job, doing the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's what he always wanted. He got it because he was super focused. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he was willing to do whatever it took to get there, even applying to different positions in order to get to what he wanted. So I want you to realize that's how important your vision is. Vision dictates your values. It decides how you behave. It decides your standards. Vision clarifies your purpose. Vision doesn't allow you to live by what you don't have. It takes you beyond that. So vision creates resources. It attracts resources. And man, the example of my husband is a perfect example of how these things were attracted. He was attracting the things that he was wanting. And for example, there's a lot of nonprofit organizations out there that are seeking grants. There's so much money in grants, in the government grants, right? The ones that get the grants are not the ones that have this goal. The ones that get the grants are the ones that have the vision, the greater vision. What is their vision for this nonprofit? They're the ones who get the money. They're the ones that get the resources. So let me share with you guys the last piece I wanted to walk you guys through, which is the how to start writing a vision, how to get to that point where you are clear on your path. So I want to share my screen real quick so that I can give you the last steps to get there. Because this is all aligned to what we're talking about. Because if you're not unable to do this piece, then it's going to be really hard for you to then be able to design your life. So I want to share how to start developing and creating that vision for yourself. And I'll share this in the email after for you guys so that you guys have a copy of it. So writing your vision, your step-by-step guide. The first thing that you need in order for you to become, in order for you to start writing your vision is, one, you got to make it clear and concise. You got to find a quiet place away from distraction so that you can then write all of your desires on paper. Now, when I mean you're going to write all your desires on paper, I literally mean you're writing down everything you have ever desired. And it may be like 8-10 pages long, and that's okay. But you have to be, in order for you to get to the clarity, in order for you to get to the concise, clear path, you have to be able to define what it is that you truly want. Get your entire purpose, and then you're going to be able to take all those things that you desire. It's going to be it's going to be a process. It's not going to happen right away. It may take days, it may take weeks for you to be able to write down all those desires. You want to then get your entire purpose into one sentence. And that's probably, it sounds absolutely crazy, but this is critical to do. Because here's the thing, is that ultimately at the end of the day, like I mentioned in the beginning, we all have one purpose. We all have this exponentially incredible talent and gift that only we have, and we are designed to live it out. So we have to be able to get that into one sentence. Because the clearer you are, the easier it's gonna be for you to be able to get to that path. And then you want to publish it. And when I mean by publish it, you write it down, you type it up, you create a poster board, you put it in a picture frame, you put it in your office, you put it in your car, you put it in your planner. You have it anywhere that you can post it as your daily reminder of what your vision is. Then you're going to be able to make a plan to achieve it. Once you make the plan to achieve it, you revise that vision, and you're constantly evaluating that vision. Doesn't mean it's always going to stay the same. Just because you start with one vision doesn't mean you're going to end up with that exact vision. My vision 6 years ago was simply I wanted to work from home. That was it. I didn't know how it was going to happen. But that was it was kind of very general vision. But I was like, I just want to work from home. I want to be home with my kids. And little by little, my vision started to get clearer and clearer and clearer. So you got to give it some time. It comes in phases. Your vision does not come all in one day, in 1 week, 1 month, or even 1 year. It can take years, but you have to be willing to start somewhere. So take the time to write down what you truly want in your life, list them out, no matter how long it is. And then once you do that, you can go through each bullet point, right? Because you can create them in bullet points or numbers, whatever you want to do. And under each sentence, you want to then condense each sentence to a very short sentence, very short point. And then once you have your 10, 15, 20 points, then you have to review, go through them and decide, what does this all have to do with? What is the overarching theme? What's very similar to all these things that I desire? And then you can finally create that one sentence, your purpose statement is what I call it. And once you have that purpose statement, it's going to be much easier for you to then design your life. And, my husband's such an incredible example to me, because I see him and I'm like, man, if he can do that, if he can go from a job from 11 years, an 11-year career, it was a very good paying job. He had opportunity to do details and make extra money. he always wanted to be in uniform, and all that stuff, but things shifted for him. And so it's okay that the vision from 1 year to the 11th year is going to be a little different, but as long as you have a direction that you're going and you know why. He knew why he wanted that shift. He knew he wanted to be home with his family. When he first started his career, it was just me and him. And so he can work all hours because it didn't matter, right? And so, as you know, if you are single, your vision is going to be very different from right now to 5 years from now, when you maybe get married, and then when you have kids, and that's okay. But you need to have a direction right now, wherever you stand. So I want to open it up right now. If you guys want to ask any questions, I wanted to be able to give you some context to feed off, and then I want to open it up now for any comments, questions. This is the whole point of this, was a Q&A, so that we can kind of interact and be able to help you get to that point that you feel will give you that motivation and give you the mental focus you need moving forward. So you guys are welcome to unmute yourself. Thank you so much, Cleone. All right, love, I'll see you. Thank you so much for jumping on here. How about you, Leah? Do you have anything you wanted to ask about the info?
I kind of get like the overall gist, and I know I talk to you all the time, but like, so before you started, I know this might be like kind of an off/on question. Mm-hmm. So when you started wanting to go just online at home, what was your first initial goal to start that? Like, did you use like your planner, like you know how you have like a bunch of planners and all your books and stuff? Like, were you inspired by the books? Like, did you just have it like in your head one day and you were like, you know what, like I just want to work at home? Like anything that kind of like kickstarted your motivation to start everything?
So I actually didn't have all the planners back then. So I didn't even start doing I wasn't as organized for sure when I started. What helped me to get focused, because I knew that that's what I wanted. So I surrounded myself with, and that's kind of like where the vision chooses your friends. So I started to get myself around other health influencers. So I knew I wanted health. I knew I wanted to do preventative medicine. And so I wanted to find people that were doing that already. So I started to surround myself with those people. I started to attend weekly calls with them. So like meetups and things like that. I started to, I started to get books like immediately. I started to get books that were related to more so, I guess my first few books that I started with were money, because that was one of the things that I struggled with, like my money mindset. I always felt like talking about value, right? I always felt like I didn't have value, and so who would pay me, right? So I had to work a lot on my mindset. So I had a lot of mindset books. Actually, the book that I shared with you, the first one, I forgot. I think you still have the copy.
I do.
Yeah, you can totally keep it too. Books like that.
You Are a Badass one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, You Are a Badass. So I started with that book. So a lot of mindset books, leadership books, and daily discipline. So I wasn't as disciplined as I am today, right? So I had to figure out, okay, how do I develop a routine and things like that. So I started to work on my weaknesses essentially. So I knew I needed support. I knew I needed to build discipline. I needed to shift my mindset in believing in myself, because I was terrified. Like I was leaving a very comfortable, I guess, not so comfortable, like I wasn't happy, but a very secure job for an unsecure job. And so there was a lot of doubt. There's a lot of fear in that. And so I had to work on my mindset and understand or my confidence level. And so it took me like over a year of working on those things for me to then finally in 2015 to say, okay, I think I want to do this. And so that's how I kickstarted my first, my first group that I ran. And then I went to my very first conference, health and wellness conference that summer. And so again, like because I had that vision, all my decisions were revolved around that. And so I started to take online trainings on social media. I started to take online trainings on marketing because I had no idea how to market myself. So again, everything was revolved around that vision of how do I do this? Like, I want this. How do I do it? And so that's kind of what directed me into the path. And so there was like millions of decisions that I made that got me to this point. But it was all revolved around that one purpose, that I wanted to be able to work from home. And so that's kind of how it kickstarted. So once you have that vision, then every other decision is going to be able to be easier to make after that. So that, I would say, like, whatever you kind of feel like your purpose is revolving around, start asking yourself, who are the people in my life that are related to this purpose? What trainings do I need to take? What events I need to go to that are related to this? What books? Um, Things like that would be helpful. I think that for me was what really catapulted me to be able to shift and be able to get to this point.
Yeah, perfect. I just have one more question before anyone asks any questions. Did you have any doubts when you were going through your like everything, your first like group and everything like that? Just a quick question before anyone else wants to ask questions.
Oh my gosh. I totally did. And I still, like, even 6 years into this, like, there's moments of doubt. There still is. I don't think you ever get rid of the doubt. There's always a little bit of fear. Um, and there's always a little bit of doubt. And you have to constantly be battling that every single day. And the doubt comes when you're not seeing progress, or when you're noticing you're stagnant, or you get off track. Um, I noticed for me, my greatest weakness was my discipline. So like when I wasn't as organized, or when I got off track of my schedule, and just kind of winged it, that's when doubt came in, because I had no control. And when I lost control, then I felt like, you know, I'm not going to get the results. And so it was like this spiraling, place that would get me to, like, it was super negative. And so I've had to deal with that for years. Actually, every single year since I've started, I've had to deal with learning how to manage my doubt and my mindset. So what I've learned for myself, and it may be different for everybody, but what I've learned for myself when it comes to doubt and fear is that the way that I combat that is with action. So when I am feeling doubtful and fearful, I I go and serve. I go and think, okay, what will a post that I post right now will uplift somebody, or who can I message and invite to work with me that can be empowered and motivated, and who needs this in their life right now. So action. So when I feel like I'm getting that doubt and fear and being down on myself and not feeling worthy, because I still get those feelings, I follow that with action. And when I do, it normally goes away. It normally feels like, and even if I get people that say no to me, even when I get people that say, oh, no, I'm not interested, um, what keeps me on the path is knowing, okay, I took action today, though, and I did something for myself. So always try to combat those negative feelings with reminding yourself why you're on the path, right? That's why you want to post it everywhere. And also following that with discipline and with action. When you have discipline and action combined, you're on fire. Doesn't matter who tells you no, doesn't matter, what failures you've had. It's going to keep motivating you, because at some point with you taking action, you're going to get a result, whether it's somebody who says, yeah, let's work together, or sure, I have a referral for you, or oh, I have this opportunity. There's always something that's going to pop up when you take action. But when you sit back and just kind of in this victimhood of poor me, I suck at this, or I'm not good at this, you're not going to get no results. And so that's what's happened with me. Like when I get to that point, I'm like, well, of course, if I sit here and complain, I'm not going to get anywhere. So I've learned that if I want to get somewhere, if I want to overcome that, then I have to be able to hustle and work and move forward. Not saying that I will consume myself with work, because the whole point of this webinar today is simplifying your life, right? But you do want to be able to um, follow it with concise, focused work. And so whatever you decide, like that you need, that your purpose and your mission is, right, it has to be followed by focus, intentional action. So for me, I know I will go on my Facebook and I will look through every single follower and I will message each individual. Like that's an action for me. And that allows me to feel in control. I can't control what they say back to me, but I can control what I do and put out there. So so whatever your purpose is going to be, you want to follow that with concise action. What do you need to do to move forward? Build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. With confidence, you don't doubt and fear.
Perfect. Yeah. All I pretty much need to do for my step forward is just figure out my self-doubt and stuff like that. But that was all my questions. But thank you for everything. That was awesome.
Awesome. Yay. Yeah, so I haven't seen any other questions pop up. So I appreciate you guys so much. The recording will be available. So if you guys want to go back and watch it from the beginning, if you missed any part of it, feel free to. If you guys have any other questions, just reach out to me individually. And like I said, this is going to be every Thursday from 2 to 3, unless I for somehow can figure out a better time for y'all, because I know some people weren't able to get on live. If you're watching the replay, just realize I'm trying to work the hours to see what works the best with everybody. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'll see you guys next Thursday. Have an amazing week.